Hi, my name is Michaela, but you can call me Kayla if you like. I'm here to make this video today to help others to streamline their essay writing process. This is the first part in the two-part series where I will talk about annotating. And annotating is super important because it helps you to digest the information and it can help to organize exactly what you want to say. The way that I like to annotate is to use several highlight colors. In this video, you're mostly going to see me use yellow, and the yellow highlight is just to honestly answer 6 main questions of who, what, when, why, where, how, and that sort of thing. So it kind of knocks the basics right out and you can have that squared away. And the other colors I like to use are pink, green, blue, and orange. And I'll have a color chart here too so that you can review that. And I'll also have something linked down below for you to check out. And that will dive into the more personal annotation method. You can kind of see how that looks. Just, you know, you can take a glance at it. You can try it out for yourself. It's really up to you. I have ADHD and this process has worked wonders for me. So if you have ADHD too, it might help you.
But Kayla, everyone is saying I need to use AI to succeed. Oh, my sweet young spring chicken. It's an essential skill for graduating school. But Kayla, I don't care about school. That's okay, but essay writing can strengthen your ability to digest information and improve communication, especially at work. But Kayla, using AI is easier and I fumble my words too much. An original thought from a human being will always be more captivating than a robot trying to mimic what it is to be human. And humans make errors. Let's just embrace the process.
Okay, so let's get into this annotation process. So for my process, I like to answer 6 questions. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. You won't necessarily always be able to answer every single question, but if you can answer most of them, then your comprehension of what you're reading is really going to go up, and it will help you to formulate what exactly you want to say. So let's look into who. We're going to say, who wrote this article? And when you look over here, we can see that Adam Fellman and Rachel Ann T. Melligretto wrote this article, and it's published by Medical News Today. So for the who, that's basically like who I would like to mention. Potentially even who it was medically reviewed by, but honestly, if they're not saying much in the article, then I probably won't mention them, even though she does have a degree. So that answers who. So we're just gonna paste, and then also Medical News Today. So for what, we're going to say, what is this article about? And this is a pretty easy one. You don't want to think too hard on it, okay? It's going to be probably the title of the essay. So what is mental health? And that main bit is just, you know, it's going to be about mental health. When we're asking what, like what is this article about, we could also go right here and look at all of these different topics that are going to be talked about. And I like to kind of fill this out as we go along. Hopefully that helps some of you guys. Next question is, when was this written? And it was last updated on March 22nd, 2024. So that's going to be pretty easy. We can just go ahead and grab that. And I know these questions, they might seem like, well, why do I care when it was written? And the reason why we kind of care about this is because, like, if
you were to read an article about mental health in 1975, it might look a ton different, okay? It's gonna look a lot different. And so knowing that it's pretty recent from last year, at the time of me recording this, that kind of helps to frame the conversation a little bit more. And it could also potentially give you ideas. Like, okay, so it was written in 2024, and if you're given an essay prompt where it says compare mental health conversations from 2024 to like 1970, this is a great way to, you know, check out like, oh, okay, so this was what we were talking about in 2024. Let me see if I can find an article from further back, which I don't know if that would necessarily, I mean, you might be able to find something, right? Go deep into the archives. So where is this taking place, and where in the world is this happening that we're talking about mental health? It's kind of a strange question, right? Because it's like, well, I don't know, mental health affects everybody. And that is honestly a pretty accurate statement to make when we're talking about this mental health situation, okay? Right here we have the World Health Organization being mentioned, and as we know, they are global. They're, you know, the World Health Organization. So there's mention of the WHO, there's mention of the United States, there's even like an Iranian study mentioned in here too further on. So I'm just gonna say it's generally global. Okay.
Hi guys, I was just editing the video and I realized I totally skipped out on a really important point. So the reason why we want to answer the question of where an article was written is because in the United States, we're probably going to be talking about mental health in a very different way than like an African country or an Asian country. And so knowing your audience, or, you know, who's writing the article, is kind of important because it'll give you a feel for what the norms are and the customs and just, you know, things like that. So this article is pretty open about talking about mental health, but you might notice if you read articles from other countries, it might have a different tone. And there's no right or wrong, you know, cultures, they kind of deal with things in different ways, right? We're all part of this world, but we're all seeing things through a slightly different lens. So if you don't really know what to expect from a different culture than your own, that's okay. But if you can identify where something was written, you might be able to begin to deepen your understanding of, you know, someone else's reality. So it's kind of a cool question to be asking. You know what I mean? It might sound kind of boring on the surface, but when you kind of dig into it, it's like, ooh, spicy, you know? Like, cool. Anyway, I'll let you get back to the video.
Why? Like, why do we care? It sounds almost like rude in a way, but the whole point of why this is like important and why we care is because this article is going to be teaching us about like early signs and treatments and, you know, the outlook and like what we can expect if we're going through this. So it's basically to deepen the reader's understanding of their own mental health so that they can look out for themselves and for others. So let's just say deeper understanding for the reader to help themselves and others. Okay. So the question of how. Okay. Another key point for you is that if an article is referencing different people, like the WHO that we mentioned earlier, that's kind of a big name drop, right? And if you're trying to write an essay where you need 5 resources,
you could go to potentially one article and see who they're mentioning, and if they are worth mentioning in this, medical news today article, you may be able to find some references that they've used and use them in your own essay. That's just a little helpful tidbit